Welcome to the channel, everyone. On this channel, we share stories of average Joes around the world and their not so average issues. Let's start with the first story. Am I in the wrong for telling my parents that they shouldn't have had 3 kids? I'm a 23-year-old female, the youngest in my family, with 2 older sisters, a 27 female and 26 female. In general, I've always felt my sisters were raised differently than me. They're only a year and 10 months apart, so they were only 1 grade apart in school and much closer than they were with me growing up. They got to do all the same activities together, hung out with the same friend groups, and got to travel together once they were both in college. However, I was just the little sister that they didn't want around growing up. For instance, I was literally kicked out of the house during M's 16th birthday because I was still in middle school and they thought it'd be weird if I was there at the party, still had to clean up their mess when the party was over. Anyway, my sisters got to do a lot of cool activities that I didn't get to do when I was growing up. They got to do ice skating, horseback riding lessons, all these cool summer camps, etc. Growing up, all I did was sit at their lessons and wait for them to be over. The only activity I had was tennis for a year and a half because my parents cancelled it. When my sisters left for college, my parents kind of checked out and didn't really care that I was still in high school. I was pretty much just doing everything on my own. When they got older, my dad bought one of my sisters 3 cars over the course of 5 years, and my mom bought M a car. When I was old enough to drive, my parents said they didn't have enough money to buy me a car, so I had to finance my first car. My parents even helped them out with rent during college, car insurance, and any other expense. However, I have been pretty much supporting myself since I was 17. Today, my sisters are both married with kids. A has 2 kids and M has 1. My mom looks after the kids while my sisters are working. Meanwhile, I'm in grad school very far away from my family. Anyway, my mom has been complaining how she can't handle watching 3 kids under the age of 2 at the same time, and has been bugging me to quit school to come help out watching the kids, which pissed me off because it feels like it's just me revolving my life around my sisters again. She was also pointing out how A has saved up enough money to buy a house, which they don't see me doing at her age because I haven't been saving as much as her. A was living at home until 3 months ago and didn't pay for anything. That's when I pretty much snapped and told her that maybe if they treated me equally as them financially, then perhaps I'd be buying a house at 27 as well. She started going on about how it was difficult raising 3 kids, and I told her that she shouldn't have had 3 kids if she couldn't handle it and treat all of us 3 equally. My mom got really upset and hung up the phone and hasn't really reached out to me since. I do feel kind of bad now, though, because they did provide me food and shelter growing up. Judgments. Not your fault. Food and shelter isn't even the bare minimum for a decent parent. The very idea that you should give up your own ambitions to come home and babysit your sister's kids while they also shame you for not being able to save up for a house at 27 is both unreasonable and absolutely awful. Your mother heard exactly what she deserved to hear, more than because you're not at all wrong. If they checked out on being your parent, then she doesn't get to think that she was a good parent to you. Honestly, they clearly didn't at all plan for you or your needs, and that makes them pretty crap parents. If the only thing you can think of for positives is they didn't let me starve to death on the streets, she deserves to hear way worse, and your dad too. You said it. You've been supporting yourself since you were 17. That means you owe them nothing, including their own delusions. If she didn't want to hear the truth, she shouldn't have made it the truth. In case it wasn't clear, don't quit school. Finish and make the life you want to make and know that you did it pretty much on your own. Not your fault. First, do not quit school, no matter how much they beg you to. Second, your parents set a precedent of support with your 2 siblings. You're right to feel cheated. They either shouldn't have had more kids than they could have handled, or they shouldn't have prioritized them over you. I'm in the same situation. It screws with your sense of self-worth. Am I in the fault for being offended that my daughter called me ugly? This isn't a big deal, but I feel like I'm going crazy over it. Yesterday at dinner, my daughter, 15 female, was telling my wife, 40 female, and I, 45 male, about a guy she likes in school, and she thinks he likes her back. My wife and I were happy for her, and I would support her liking anyone that treats her right and makes her happy. She was telling us how he's smart, funny, and has a great six-pack. I'm used to girl talk. My wife laughed and said something along the lines of, as long as he's a good person. My daughter replied, well, yeah, but looks are also important. I don't want to end up with someone like Daddy. I asked her what she meant by that. I don't remember her exact words, but it was along the lines of that I'm round, bald, and short. There was no immediate, just kidding, from her. I told her that that wasn't a nice thing to say and that she should apologize. Before she said anything, though, my wife chimed in, teasing that guys were always so sensitive. My daughter laughed. I usually would immediately address this kind of situation, but I was pretty upset and didn't want to scream or cry. I know, that's so lame. I stayed mostly silent for the rest of the dinner. A bit of background, I've recently been feeling more self-conscious. I'm not ugly, even if I was. I have other qualities to make up for it, and I know that my wife adores me, but I've definitely noticeably gained some weight and lost some hair. My wife is as stunning and youthful as the day I met her, and my daughter is the spitting image of her. However, I have a feeling that if my daughter insulted her appearance, she would be very offended and expect me to back her up. Before bed, I addressed the issue with my wife. I explained that it hurt my feelings, that I want to teach my daughter to be kind to others, and that it would mean a lot if we could both talk to my daughter about why saying that was not right. My wife didn't take me seriously at all. Among the things she said was that the best way to make someone stop teasing you is to ignore it. I don't want to treat my daughter like a middle school bully, and that she, my wife, was also materialistic at that age, but grew out of it on her own. She also said that I was asking for it by asking her what she meant. I told my wife that I was disappointed in her, and I would be talking to my daughter alone when she comes home from school today. I plan on talking to my daughter today, both because I'm still offended, and I really don't want her to say that to anyone else. I don't plan on punishing her, just having an honest conversation and seeing where it goes. Nonetheless, I'm partially wondering if I'm the a-hole for escalating the situation, since it's a one-off occurrence. Judgments. Not your fault. What is wrong with the two of them? Go in there and call them fat, and then when they freak out and get upset, say that women always get so easily offended. That'll showcase their hypocrisy. Punishment isn't the way here, at least not the kind of parental punishment suggested. She'll be punished by his loss of respect for her, his emotional distancing, his disappointment in her and his wife. The punishment, in this case, will happen whether it is doled out or not. His treatment of her going forward will naturally be a consequence. I feel that he needs to sit both of them down and say that the comment made and his wife's apparent condoning of it made him feel deeply self-conscious, and as a result has caused him to lose respect for both of them. He needs to tell both of them that the dismissal of another person's feelings isn't acceptable, and they both need to reflect on why they feel that their preferences should be held above basic human decency. He does need to make the "if I said the same thing" comparison as well. It will highlight the casual cruelty that they seem to be comfortably wielding. His daughter needs to learn that while her attraction to certain physical attributes is normal and fine, it's not okay to judge others solely on the appearance and to disparage others who don't come up to the mark. The entire situation is not right. That was a drive-by he didn't deserve. Am I in the wrong for not inviting family members to my wedding? This goes back 3 years when my mom and her girlfriend got engaged. My mom put in so much time and energy into organizing this wedding and was so excited. She sent out invites to all our family members and 4 months in advance, and almost everyone confirmed they would be going. Barely a week before the wedding, she received several messages from aunts and uncles who said they won't be going because they had other commitments, despite confirming they'd be there months prior. One of my aunts, my grandma's sister, confronted my mom and said many weren't going because they still didn't agree with the fact that she was marrying a woman, including herself, because it went against her Christian views. Meanwhile, my hardcore Christian grandma was more than happy to walk my mom down the aisle. This upset my mom, but she tried not to let it ruin her wedding. I, however, was furious. Only my grandma, my mom's sister, a few cousins, and another aunt attended the wedding, while my stepmom's entire family came. What really pissed me off was that 2 weeks later, my cousin, who lives in a totally different state, celebrated her sweet 16, and everyone who made excuses about not going to my mom's wedding made the journey all the way over there and posted pictures all over Facebook. It really broke my mom's heart and just felt like salt in the wound. I swore then that when I got married, everyone who did not show up to my mom's wedding would not be invited to mine. Fast forward to now, me and my girlfriend of 2 years got married in the first week of March, and I kept my word. The only ones we invited to our wedding was the family that did go to my mom's, and one other aunt who did have a good reason for not being there at the time because she was recovering from surgery. We even invited my stepmom's family too. Obviously, my other family members found out and expressed their hurt over not being invited. I called them all out and said if they had a problem with my mom for being who she is, then they had a problem with me. And I wouldn't let toxic people be a part of a special day for me and my wife. My wife stood behind my decision, as did my mom. That still doesn't seem to stop them from thinking it was a dick move and are turning it into a whole family drama because they think it was unfair to punish them for simply believing in something different. Am I in the wrong? Judgments. Not your fault. I'd have done the same thing. Exclude my mother and you'll be forever excluded by me. The fact that they RSVP'd yes and then pulled out makes it even worse. Your dedication to your mother is heartwarming. I would be beaming with pride if I were her. Wishing you both every happiness. They believe that marriage should be reserved for a man and a woman only. You believe that homophobes are a-holes who shouldn't be invited to your wedding. If they can't change their beliefs for one day, then oops, neither can you. Not your fault. We hope you enjoyed today's stories. Use the comment section below to state your verdict on the situation, express your opinions, and share some valuable advice.